This would have been a good show to have Maddie. While we're talking about sex at work, her mother would be flipping out. So before we get back to the show, we have a new advertiser. Another new advertiser. I'm loving it. And by the way, every time Bill Green does a video, we get more advertising. He calls for a boycott once a week. He does a video on his page. And I've got him blocked so I can't see it, but people keep sending it to me. And one of those is Michael Perez from Perez Funeral Home. So first, I just want to tell everybody this. If while I'm driving around Lawrence, I get shot and killed, make sure you get my body to Perez Funeral Home because we do business with the people who do business with us. And he's on South Broadway with it's the old Scott Funeral Home. If you're an old-time Lawrence resident, it's the old Scott Funeral Home on South Broadway. Perez Funeral Home at 298 South Broadway in Lawrence. They do crematory services. They do all the stuff that they're supposed to do, right? And Mike's a good fan of the big fan of the show. He followed us when we go live. He's an advertiser now in the print edition of the paper, and he's now sponsoring this program. Perez Funeral Home and Crematory Services, 298 South Broadway in Lawrence. We appreciate him.
And you got Veloz Auto Group as well.
We have to do Franklin Veloz from Veloz Auto Group. He specializes in people that have maybe bad credit, no credit. Maybe you haven't had a job for a long period of time, so you don't think that maybe you qualify for a car loan. Usually, they want you to have a job for a year or more. He specializes in getting people who have bad credit or no credit or maybe spotty credit, getting them into a used car. He used to work for Charlie Dare's Commonwealth Motors for a long, long time, so he knows his stuff. I think he was the credit manager over there or something. So he knows what he's doing, and he follows us live, too. I really appreciate that he does. Every time I see him pop on, I'm very excited about it. And I was there yesterday to deliver his newspaper, and he said he's already had people come in. He's already had customers come in from us talking about him on this show. The paper just came out yesterday, so yesterday was his first print ad, so it couldn't have been from the print. It had to be from this show. So we appreciate Veloz Auto Group. Go see Franklin. He's at 17 Mass Ave. It's right at the very beginning of Mass Ave on the the Lawrence North Andover line. On the Lawrence North Andover line. There you go. I did it twice for you. So
appreciate that.
All right. So, Paul.
Do for you.
No sex at work, right? That's
okay.
What we've established in the first half hour. Right? And
no sex outside of marriage. We established that, too.
I think you established that. I don't think the rest of us are on board with that at all.
I think God established it. But anyway.
Well, all right. Fair enough.
I don't remember that being one of the commandments.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Actually, oh, yeah. It definitely is. It's part of adultery. Adultery has a narrow definition as well as a wide definition. And, in fact, at the time when God gave the commandments, those women particularly women who were known to be a non-virgin at marriage were stoned to death. I don't advocate that, but I'm just saying that it was a whole part of the culture back then that it understood that God's law was that you be virgins at marriage.
Well, alrighty then.
Awkward pause.
But wait. I'm curious, though, before we get to the next show, why is it so awkward to talk about somebody's, a big portion of the world's belief about what God's will is?
I don't think that's particularly awkward. I just think it was both awkward for Tom and I, thinking that we both probably would be stoned at this point.
Well, yeah, I'd be dead a long time ago.
Well, I mean, none of us are saints. That's not the point here.
Wait a minute. We know you're a saint, so don't be humble about it.
I'm not. The point is, what is God's will?
And I actually kind of think he is.
And how are we supposed to?
He should be sainted.
How should we?
When he dies, I'm going to be the first guy to petition him for sainthood.
How should we try to?
I'll second it.
I can't even speak here.
Sorry. But we're saying nice things about you, so you shouldn't mind.
I'm not but they're false things. I'm so not a saint. It's incredible.
Yeah, see, you don't see yourself as a saint because you're humble.
Look,
but you walk the walk, and one of the reasons why I like you as a friend, and one of the reasons why I have you on this show as a friend, is because so many other people are so full of shit, and they say one thing, and they totally don't walk the walk, and you do, and the fact that you do, I think, elevates you to like sainthood status.
No, I try to walk the walk, but if you were to know people that I hang out with on a semi-regular basis, you would think that I'm a sinner and they're a saint. So it's all a matter of.
So there are people who are more wildly religious than you are.
There are people that seek God's will and perhaps more successful than I am. Absolutely.
You ever think about hanging out?
Of course.
You ever think about hanging out with degenerates like I do?
No, I don't.
No, he never thinks about that at all.
No, I don't see why that would be why that would be advantageous.
Because that's what Jesus did. Jesus purposely hung out with degenerates. See, I got him, right? Jesus purposely hung out with degenerates. I mean, if you're a saintly person, hanging out with other people who share your view, you're not spreading the word.
Yeah.
You're not spreading niceness
you're really
or goodness.
not giving back to the community at that point. You're just sucking on the teat of the people better than you.
Right. It's like someone who it's like somebody who plays tennis with someone who's way better than them because they want to make their game better. That's what Paul does. Screw the rest of us, right?
You should be playing with people that don't play as well as you.
You guys are you're very funny. I go into the Lions Den every day that I go into work.
Well, that's true because you teach college.
I teach college.
Oh my God!
And you know that mentality.
I'd rather be a Lawrence cop than teach college.
So yeah, I mean, I get abused in ways that are very subtle.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah. Because like your response, but a lot worse than that, a lot of people hate the truth today, and a lot of people are hiding from it. So if you were to present it in a way that's non-threatening, they see it as extremely threatening.
Yeah. Anytime you tell somebody something that doesn't comport with what they want to believe.
Yes.
Even though deep down they might probably not believe it, but they want to believe it.
Yes.
They become hostile.
No question.
And that hostility sometimes comes out in passive-aggressive ways. Sometimes it's just downright hostile.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting.
That's right.
I'm getting now. It's been a while since I've had people handwrite hate mail to me, but I'm now getting handwritten hate mail on a regular basis from a bunch of different people. It's all different handwriting.
It's not typed. It's handwritten.
No. It's handwritten in pen. And one lady that I should have brought it in with me. One lady, I opened it this morning, but I got it a couple of days ago because I'm late opening my mail. She signed her name and her address on it, and it was just basically how much I suck. And hers was the same theme as all the other handwritten letters of hate mail that I'm getting. It all centers around the fact that I publish pictures of dead people.
Yeah.
So you had a guy last week on Hampshire Street was murdered. We had pictures of him. The pictures that I posted were of him with a sheet over him, so you can see his feet and his sneakers coming out of the sheet, but you can't really see anything else. I'm still not sure why that evoked such hostile reactions that I'm getting from so many people.
You know what?
Because we have pictures of him with 6 bullets in his back that his family was posting and that everybody else on the planet was posting. I didn't post it, but if I posted it, that would have been the end of the friggin' world.
I've always wanted to know, what is the unwritten rule regarding dead people? I remember when John Lennon was shot, I think it was the National Enquirer, had a picture of him dead on probably the front cover, and everyone went wild. That was horrible for you to do that.
Right.
I don't know how to think about that. Is it too sacred to picture a dead person, or is it only for the sake of the family that would hurt? I get a lot of hate mail on this. Yeah.
I get hate email mostly, but now I'm getting handwritten hate mail. And they all center around the same theme. And they're all fucking liars, every single one of them. They all center around, what if that was your family? The family shouldn't have to see that. Okay, let's review. First of all, the last 3 dead bodies that I showed on Facebook that I posted, we're gonna exempt the last one because the guy had a sheet over him, but I have posted actual dead bodies on Facebook, and I get the same reaction out of people. And by the way, they're all Latino. Right?
Okay, all right.
I've been to more Latino funerals and wakes than I can count. And it is standard in the Latino culture, especially the Dominican culture, to videotape and take pictures of the body in the casket at the wake. I remember when my father died, a guy came in with a camera, and I was horrified that he came in with a video camera and videotaped my father in his uniform in a casket while the family was standing there. I was horrified by it.
You were?
Horrified.
All right.
That he would just come in. Had he come in and asked if it was okay, and maybe one family member told him fine, I probably would have been okay with it. But not knowing that was going to happen and then seeing it happen, I was horrified by it. But I go to Latino funerals all the time, right? Because I know I have a lot of Latino friends, and Latinos have very big families, and somebody in their family dies, I go. And there's always 5 or 10 people going over to the casket, and it's not like a selfie where they're they're getting themselves with the dead guy, but they're taking pictures, they're taking videos of the dead guy in the casket. Nobody ever once has ever said, well, what about the family? They're doing it in front of the family. It's accepted in that culture. And yet every single friggin' complaint I get about posting a dead body on Facebook, every single one of them is signed by a Latino complaining that the family might see it on Facebook.
Very interesting. I've never been tempted to, like, my father died a few weeks ago. Nobody in the family was ever even thought of taking a picture of him in the casket, even though he looked very good.
Yeah.
And I have never seen anybody on Facebook, I have over 3,000 friends, who has a picture of their dead parents in a casket at their funeral home. I've never seen it. Is this still one of our culture's taboos, to have dead people?
I can tell you in
pictures,
and I take a lot of shit for it. But my policy, I have no written policies at the Valley Patriot. I just kind of basically do it as I go. But my policy has always been, my unwritten policy has always been, that if the news value of posting the picture outweighs the outrage that I'm going to hear about from the picture, I post the picture. We had the picture of the guy on Hampshire Street with the 6 bullets in his back, and I didn't post it originally, and I posted the picture of the guy with the sheet. And then I got a flurry of people coming on my page complaining, what about the family, what about the family, what about the family? So you know what I did, Jonathan? I went to the family. I found who the family members were. I went to their Facebook page, and the first friggin' guy that I found that was a family member of him had the picture that I didn't post. He's laying face down, and he's got 6 bullets in his back. And you can see the bullet. You can see the blood on his shirt spreading where each bullet hole was. I wish we could pull it up, but I wasn't prepared to talk about it today. All right? So the family is posting the picture of the guy with the 7 bullets. They didn't seem to mind. But all the people who complained about it came to my page to complain because what about the family? So what I've deduced from all of this and what I've learned from all this is that they're all a bunch of fucking liars, every single one of them. The real story here is they feel uneasy. The people complaining feel uneasy seeing that dead body. And they don't want to say I'm a little snowflake, it hurt my feelings when you posted that, it bothered me. They don't want to say that. So they hide behind the family. They hide behind, what if and I always get, in almost every single one I get, what if that was your family member? What if that was your father or your brother? Well, newsflash. You know how I found out about my father being murdered? On TV. That's how I found out. I turned on the 5 o'clock, I turned on Channel 7, and there's Jerry D'Amico with a picture of my father. That's how I found out.
But not a picture of him dead.
Not a picture of him dead, but I still found out about it on TV.
I actually take exception in a certain way, Paul, to your statement that maybe it's not part of the culture. In the 1800s, the way that you got confirmation of someone's death is they would take pictures of the body, you know, the famous pictures of cowboys in the actual wooden coffin with their eyes sewn shut and the whole bit. This was part of American culture. You did photograph the dead bodies, and at some point in our history, we may have gotten away from that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Why aren't we?
You need to watch more cowboy movies.
Listen, I watch Spanish. I watch Spanish language TV all the time, right? Because I love Spanish women. Especially, I love to watch Spanish soap operas, and I watch the news when the news comes on after the soap operas. Their news is more violent than any horror movie produced in America. They show dead, bloody bodies in Venezuela. They show almost dead, bloody bodies in El Salvador. They show bodies that were hacked up by MS-13 in Mexico. And they show the bodies moving. It's not even dead yet, and they show it. And I'm sure all of these Latinos who are complaining, to me, maybe because I'm white, I don't know, but all these people complaining to me are all consuming this same stuff. They're all watching Univision. They're all watching Telemundo. I think it's just an excuse to be a little bitch. That's what I think it is.
So it's not immoral at all to photograph a dead person and put him in public?
I don't think so.
Nothing sacred about that?
I don't think so.
All right. I don't know. I'm still sort of feeling out I haven't really thought it through yet.
Yeah.
You guys can photograph me when I die if you're both still alive.
Yeah. Can we put your head right over here?
Absolutely, so right on the front screen.
Even going back to CAP, Paul, how many times have I said to you, if someone walks into this studio and they shoot me right now, you better make sure that you get my camera and you film everything and you go live because you know the Tribune will screw up the story of my death. And I want people who follow me to know the real story. So I don't understand all this other stuff. I think there are people, individuals, who have emotional problems, who don't like to see these images. But what are like the top grossing movies? Aren't they all like horror movies? People getting hacked up.
Oh, absolutely.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All this.
Well,
I mean,
that's true.
We're in a violent culture that has violence around us everywhere. But Facebook, that's just wrong. If you post it on Facebook, that's just horrible.
Why is it that people don't like to bring children to wakes?
I think a child's... I can tell you, my family, the first time someone died in my family, I didn't want to go to the wake. My aunt told me, you're going to see the dead body. And I was freaked out by it because I was a kid. Yes. And she said, it's good that you do it now because it was a distant family member. I didn't know the family member very well. And she said, you're going to be going through wakes for your entire life. And your first body should not be someone like your father or your brother or your cousin that you know. So I think it's good. I think it's good that you go, and I know you're going to be upset, but you should go. So I went, and she was right. She was right because a couple of years later, somebody very close to me died, and I had to go, and I was prepared for it. I had already gone through that with someone I didn't know. So I don't know why people don't want to bring children to wakes. I think it's something that they probably should go to, unless it's their first time and it's their mom. That's a little tough, right? But other than that, we live in a culture where there's death all around us and there's violence all around us. I mean, walk through Lawrence on any day and you see it. You see stabbings, you see shootings. We see it when we're driving around, right? And the guy that got shot on Hampshire Street, it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 2 blocks from the Tarbox School and a block and a half from the Arlington School. And while I'm live, if you go on my gallery on Facebook, find the video from that day, there are parents with their children standing around looking at the body before they covered it up, right? So I don't understand why seeing a dead body is going to freak somebody out so much. But if you're emotionally unstable and you don't want to look at a dead body, my very respectful advice is go the fuck somewhere else. Don't come to my page. My page, I'm a news guy, is to present news and to present what's real. Not candy coat things and make it sound better than it really is. Because, what about the family? Is the family? In this case, the family was the one pushing out the video, the picture with the bullet holes.
Do you think that people think that you're sensationalizing it and you're trying to build something out of, I hate to use the term make money, but, I mean, you're a journalist and you get paid to be a journalist. So is it that they're thinking that you're using your journalistic license to make money off of the death of people?
They might think that, but they'd be wrong because I make no money being out in the street. I make my money on advertising in the paper. And when I'm driving around chasing calls in Lawrence, I do it because I like it. I do it because it puts me closer to the real action, and when something happens, I can talk to the EMT, I can talk to the cop, I can talk to the firefighter and get the real story so that when I write the story for the Valley Patriot website or the paper, I have right information. But I don't get any more money. If I don't go out tonight, I don't lose any money.
Gotcha.
And if I don't go out all week, I don't lose any money because I make my money on print advertising in the Valley Patriot, which reminds me people should be advertising in the Valley Patriot if you appreciate what we do. So you're right. They may think that. They may jump to a conclusion, but that's all they're doing is they're jumping to a conclusion. And again, if it's not your son, I did get a call one day from a family member. There was a junkie in Lawrence last summer. He was face down in an alley off Common Street, and I didn't take the picture. Someone else took the picture and sent it to me. I verified what it was. I posted it. And a family member called me and said, the mother hasn't been notified yet. Now, by the way, I already know that that's not true because before I posted it, I made sure that I called the cops and asked if the family was notified. They said yes. But I got a phone call from a family member, said the mother has not been notified yet. I would hate for her to see this on Facebook. Can you please take it down? Even though I knew the person was full of shit, I didn't take it down. I made it private.
Yeah.
I waited 24 hours and then I made it public again to make sure that maybe she's lying, that the mother did get notified, but maybe there's other family members that didn't.
Sure.
And I did post it a little quick, so I kind of acquiesced to that. But otherwise, if someone dies in Lawrence, if someone dies in Salem, New Hampshire, and I'm there and I've got my camera, it's going online.
Couple of quick thoughts.
Sure.
Does it portray the dead person in a good light? And is it seen as a private thing that shouldn't go public, sort of like somebody being nude? You take their picture in their backyard, or in their is it that kind of private thing that people are squeamish about?
I don't know. Like, nothing makes me squeamish. I'm still having a hard time with that guy that got killed on Broadway. But other than that, really nothing that I've seen.
So dead people do not have a right to privacy.
Listen, if you're in public, if you're on Hampshire Street and it's 4 in the afternoon and the sun is high in the sky, and there are children walking home from school over a dead body, I don't understand where privacy comes into play then.
I want to know what you think,
Public.
Paul.
Yeah, Paul, what do you think, Paul?
I told you.
A dead person has a right to privacy.
I don't know. I'm just throwing these thoughts out.
I'm just thinking,
There's
I
no
don't have a
opinion.
conclusion.
you're a devout Christian, and I believe that you would believe that once the person dies, their soul leaves their body and goes off to wherever it goes off to. So they are no longer there. That is just a shell.
Their soul is no longer there, correct.
Well,
So-
and their soul would be who they are. Their downloaded information into their body it's gone.
I see the human person a little different than that.
As opposed to the non-human person.
That's a dualist understanding of the human being. I see it more hylomorphic. So, in other words, I don't...
Wait. You see more what?
Hieroglyphics?
Hylomorphic.
Hieroglyphics?
I believe in hylomorphism, that the soul is the very form and life of the body. It's not two separate things. So, here's the bottom line. When a soul leaves the body, I don't say the person has gone to heaven or hell. I say the soul has, because the human being is both soul and body together.
Did you follow any of that?
As a composite.
Kinda.
So
I thought originally he was going with 6 feet under as some sort of heaven, depending on how good the casket was. But he changed that.
No, the soul is not the person. A real full human being is a body-soul composite. So a part of the person does leave. The body is still there. Yes. So in what you were trying to say, yes.
Is there an answer in here anywhere?
I agree with you that the
good.
body is dead. But the body is still, in some mystical way, part of the human person.
As opposed to the non-human person.
Part of the human being.
Why do you say human person, by the way?
Maybe
For 15
a male
years
or
I've been
a
trying to
female.
figure this
Well,
out.
it's
You're
kind of the
human,
way-
you're human and person. It's like it's an oxymoron. They're the same thing, right? Human and person.
No, they're distinct. They're distinct.
What is the difference between a human and a person?
A human is a Homo sapien that has body, soul, and the gift of reason.
A person is not?
A person is a subject with intellect and will. Now, all humans are persons, but not all persons are humans.
I'm really regretting asking this question.
So MS-13 members would not be
Persons? Non-human persons.
They would be persons because they're
Not human.
humans.
But not they
No,
would,
they would be
They would be
humans.
non-human persons because they have no soul.
They're human persons.
They've already surrendered their soul.
Now, why would I say that all humans are persons, but not all persons are human?
Yeah, we were just wondering that.
Well, because the Creator himself is persons, but he's not human. And angels, the world of angels.
We just lost 50% of our audience.
The world of
And me.
angels are persons without bodies. They're not humans.
And he wants to do 4 hours of this. He wants to do like a whole beneath the surface show where he talks like this.
So
my frustration with Paul is he's so friggin' smart that I think it's over so many people's heads that we lose people when he uses hieroglyphic.
You know, you're really very rigid about certain things.
You know what I'm saying?
things.
Certain things.
Are you talking about Tom or me?
you, Paul.
What's rigid about making a distinction between the term human and person?
We just want you to dumb it down to English. Like, because the average
I want an
person
answer.
listening-
I want an answer as to whether or not the person that is lying there deceased they deserve rights.
That's the question.
Right, that's why he asked it.
No.
I'm not saying that they deserve that they
Do they
shouldn't
have-
desecrate the body or any of that.
Right.
There's a certain amount of respect.
This is a great question to explore. Does a dead person still have rights,
No.
particularly to privacy?
No.
Now, suppose, let me give you an example. Suppose somebody said, this is a deep, dark secret I have. I don't want anyone to know. I don't want the children to know, the grandchildren, the neighbors. Please keep it a secret. Okay, the person dies. Do they have a right to that privacy
No.
anymore? Really?
No.
Interesting.
No, you're dead.
Jonathan, what do you think?
If I gave my word that I would never tell anyone, that is what I'm giving my word to.
So it continues after death, then, you would say.
I think the contract-
their contract to me doesn't continue, but because I said I would not repeat it, I would not repeat it. That's
out of respect for them.
It has nothing to do with respect for them. It has to do with respect for me.
Right.
I'm a man of my
he made
word.
a commitment. Right.
So I said I'm not going to say it again. I wouldn't say it again. It has nothing to do with whether they're alive or dead. I
think I would go the other way. I think once
but it is out of respect for the contract that you made with them, or the agreement that you made.
Out
with
of respect for my half of the contract, and I'm still alive. Now, if I died,
Paul.
then I would say it.
Yeah, once he's dead, he can say whatever he wants.
If it's in my diary or something,
I don't know what
and it gets discovered, that's fine.
I see.
All right, very good. So I think we're nearing toward the end of the show. Have we exhausted all of these topics? So here's what we learned today. Don't have sex unless you're married. That's Paul's edict.
That's God's edict, not mine.
Well, it's Paul saying it's God's edict.
Research all of your quotes that you put in your student yearbook to make sure they can't be associated with anything.
Don't put a quote in your student yearbook that might be generally attributed to somebody that the superintendent doesn't like, right?
Probably shouldn't say F the president.
Yeah, don't say F the president. No matter who the president is.
If you're an entertainer of any kind, don't take a side.
Listen, if a conservative Hollywood idiot got up and said F Obama, I would be just as outraged.
I wouldn't be just as outraged, but I'd still be outraged.
I'd be much more shocked.
Yeah, of course, right? All right, the new Valley Patriots out on the street. We had Jeff Deal at the Daybreak Shelter on our front page. We appreciate both Karina Papalato and Jeff Deal for doing that. Melvin Taylor says you got to go home, so go home already. And as Ronnie Ford would say, we wish you enough.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.